Welcome back to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at what if. What if a hairdryer was in a box, turned on, sealed in tight? What would happen? And we're also going to look at some of the weird and worrying questions, part two. So, first of all, we have the box. Okay, well, if there are 1,182 watts, I believe, of power going in through this hairdryer, that power is going somewhere. So it's just flowing into the box. So it's flowing out and into the box and just flowing in a circle. Not too much is happening. But if we keep it there, and let's say like the box is made out of, like, depending on if it's made out of wood or metal, inside the box would end up kind of like an oven. Now the outside of the box would be giving off waves of heat, but it would end up creating a balance between how much is coming out and going out into the air. But inside is slowly becoming a little bit like an oven. On the outside, it'll be kind of warm. I love this little kid there saying, "Oh, my new friend is warm. My friend is warmer than my parents. My box is my new parents." And it's pretty warm, nice and comfy. Well, what if we turned it up a little bit more? Then it would start to get really hot. Maybe even start to cause a fire, or if you were touching it, it could burn you after a few seconds. If we turn it up another notch, and each notch is going up like 1,000, adding a zero, adding a zero, adding a zero, adding a zero. So these are going up quite a bit. Now the box would be so hot that it would be causing a fire. If you were in a house, the wood would be on fire. If the box was like cardboard or wood or something, the box would be on fire. But let's just say it's metal, so that way it's still around. Eventually, we have to imagine that the box is indestructible too. The hair dryer is indestructible because if it was in an oven, it would just melt the plastic. But let's say it was indestructible and it would reach these levels. But now we're at the point where the box needs to be indestructible. So if the box was indestructible and it was still having this power, right, greater power settings, then that box would actually turn the ground into lava. Okay, what if we turned up even more power? And this is so much power, I think it's 1.8 gigawatts or something. That, if you ever watched the movie Back to the Future, it's an old movie from the 1980s, but a great movie. That movie says you would have enough power to go back into the future, or back into the past, in the future, whatever. So, at this point, there would be enough power or energy or heat coming from this box that it would just be like a firebomb. It would go boom and explode and touch something, boom, explode and touch something, boom, explode and touch something. If we turned it up even more, it would be flying into the air and exploding with the same power of like 1 tons of dynamite or something. I mean, just a huge, like, just exploding in the air. If we turned it up even more, it would start to create firestorms all around the earth as it just travels, destroying everything on the surface of the earth. If we turned it up even more, we would reach a new milestone of power and heat and destruction. So much so, in fact, that we need to give a little brief story here. The fastest recorded object of human creation is a satellite that went near the sun, and it was flying like 70 kilometers a second. But there could be a second one. There was a manhole cover underneath this compound where a nuclear explosion blasted, and the manhole cover was recorded going boom, shooting off into wherever. We don't know. But there was a camera watching this manhole cover, and this was a high-speed camera, so it was built to be able to capture things moving very quickly. But this thing moved so fast it only captured one frame of it. That means it was going about 60 kilometers a second or more. We don't know. But that is what would happen to our balm hair dryer box. But he says, let's imagine we turn it to 0. It falls into a lake in Canada. And then we crank it back up to 11 super milliwatts. I'm not even sure what number it is. It would shoot up that box like a rocket. And that rocket box would shoot out of the Earth's atmosphere and be like a shining second sun for a while, and then squeeze down into a little star for a while, and then be gone for all eternity, blasting off into outer space. And that is how it would end. North America would be completely destroyed at this point, but the rest of the world would still be saved. But some people might not want to be saved. And the last little comic strip there is the mom holding a power bill for all the power going into this hairdryer, which would be a lot of money if the damages are included also. But let's look at some really weird questions. So here's a question saying, hey, if there was a nuclear meltdown, okay, if we dropped a whole bunch of antimatter into that nuclear meltdown, would it equal out? And it's just like, that's a really weird idea. And he has this comic strip of saying, here is an award shaped like the Star Wars Holiday Special. That movie is very famous for being one of the worst movies in the world, at least in American history, to where Star Wars made like this holiday special and it's supposed to be really, really bad. I've actually never seen it, but I'm kind of curious because it comes up in a lot of pop culture references about being so terrible. The next second question is, could you cry yourself to dehydration? You just keep crying and crying and crying and crying until there's no water in your body. And he's like, oh, that's a really sad question. Carl, are you okay? And that is the end of those two sections. Well, let's look at some vocabulary. The first one, equilibrium. Equilibrium means balance. So the heat on the outside of the box is at the same level of heat as the air around the box. It's created equilibrium. It's not uneven. It's equal. It's a shame to BDDDD or ... That can be several, like, it's a shame to do this bad thing. Okay. But we can also use this expression to say it's a shame to not do something. So let's say you have a bunch of Coca-Cola, okay? And it was just given to you for, you have a bunch of Coca-Cola, but you don't drink Coke. You like to drink water, you like to be healthy. So are you just going to dump that down the drain? You're just going to throw it away? Man, that would be a shame. So it would be a shame to leave that Coca-Cola or to throw it away or something. You want to do something crazy with it. Let's do some experiments with this Coca-Cola, shake it up, and have a war. Have a battle with the Coca-Cola. That actually sounds really fun. Okay, something like that. It's a shame to do something that is not fun. Man, it's confusing this way to explain it. Meaning, if you don't do this thing, it's really, really too bad because that would be so cool. So we can use it in that way too. So he said, man, we have this indestructible hair dryer. It's a shame just to have it go to like 1,182 watts. That's too bad. We should increase our imagination and increase the power. Periodic means occasionally, sometimes, but coming regularly. So you don't know when it's going to happen, but you know it's going to keep happening periodically. Inextinguishable, meaning you can't stop it. The fire would be, you wouldn't be able to stop the fire, it would just keep going forever. Foreshadowing means that we're going to give you a hint about what will happen in the future. Conflagration is like super fire, firestorm, intense inferno, something like that. Manhole cover. If you've ever driven down the road, sometimes you'll see these round metal covers on the road. Those are called manhole covers, meaning we can take that off and a man can go down into that hole. So that manhole cover is what shot into wherever. Trained on, this means locked on or focused on. So the camera was trained on that manhole cover. That leaves us with our discussion question. What do you think happened to that manhole cover? We don't know. It's never been found. Some people think it's been shot up and just exploded into dust by hitting the atmosphere. Other people think it's in outer space. Some people think it went up and fell back down somewhere. What do you think happened? Of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.